Good morning. I've been called worse, Rick, so don't worry about it.
I was thinking Mike all day. I really was stuck on that last name. Hey, tell us, how do you say that last name?
It's Woinarowicz.
Wow.
Woinarowicz.
Woinarowicz.
Of course. I could have told you that.
Very simple.
Great stuff.
Hey, Mike, tell us a little bit about your company and what it is that you help this trucking industry do.
So we have the industry-leading anti-distracted driving technology, and what it is it's a solution that allows commercial fleets to supervise the phone for the driver and physically remove any of the apps from the phone that the fleet manager or risk manager does not want their driver to have access to while they're driving, while the vehicle's in motion.
Hey, Corey, hold on. Let me get Corey, it sounds a lot Big Brother-ish, so talk to me. I know you've got to get that question to you.
Oh, absolutely. So, companies have cell phone policies, right? So we give the company the opportunity to enforce their cell phone policy, because any policy that's not being enforced is a liability instead of an asset. The companies the ability to say, hey, look, the FMCSA says it's a hands-free policy, one touch, and so we're giving them the ability to enforce this policy by taking the number one distraction out of the cab, and by enforcing that policy by removing the apps that you don't want your driver on TikTok making videos while they're driving. As much as we love BCB Live, we don't want your drivers watching BCB Live when they're on the 69, right? You got to make sure that you can take that number one distraction out of the vehicle while they're driving. So we want every single driver to get to their destination and home safe every single night, without the distraction of the phone that gets in so many people in trouble.
Hey, so tell me this. So how is that working? How are you, when the drivers are driving, I'm assuming it's speed related, right? If they're driving over X amount miles per hour, it then erases the apps or the ability to use those apps? How does that work?
So the app goes into policy when the driver achieves the speed that the fleet manager deems necessary. So at 4 miles an hour, the phone goes into policy and physically removes the apps. Maybe the fleet manager, this is great, you can whitelist whatever apps. So maybe the fleet manager says, you can use Google Maps, but I don't want you using Netflix and Facebook and all these other apps at the time that you're moving. So as soon as the vehicle gets going forward, then the phone, just like that, the apps are physically removed from the phone so the driver cannot access those apps whatsoever. If the driver picks up the phone, we don't want any DOT violations. We don't want that $11,000 fine or whatever it is now. We want to make sure that the drivers focus on the road and getting that next load to the next spot, instead of worrying about the post or any of the buzzes, beeps, or dings that comes with having the phone on full blast the entire time.
I have a great question for you. That the way the drivers that you've put in these fleets that you've gone to, and the success that you had, what kind of feedback have you gotten from the actual people that actually use the device? The drivers that are getting restricted while they use the device. What kind of feedback are you getting?
So initially, it's like, hey, big brother, you're not gonna supervise my phone. I want access to my phone. But then after about 10 days, they're like, hey, this is a lot less stressful. I don't have to worry about, what was that buzz? What was that ding? What was that notification, right? So the drivers that we talk to actually say it's a lot less stressful, and that they can see all the other drivers on their phones on the road, and they're all over the place. So
I'm absolutely sure you can actually
have very positive response.
Yeah, actually, you can see everybody else breaking the law. Once you start doing the law, you can see everybody else breaking the law. That's great. So you go into not only you do this individually and for fleets, right? You do it for both. You do it for personal and for fleets.
We only do it for fleets. We have another portion of the business that's working through some insurance carriers that'll bring it to all the moms and dads out there.
Nice.
So we focus on the commercial vehicles.
Well, my daughter, she doesn't know it yet, but that Jeep she drives is getting ready to be a commercial vehicle because we're going to
There you
plug that
go.
in on her. Hey, Corey, question for you. Is there a notification that goes out to somebody else that says, hey, I am driving right now, because they don't have that ability? Obviously, that app's gone. Somebody texts them. Does a notification go back to them saying, hey, the driver is on NoCell right now, cannot reply back?
That is not yet released, but yeah, that's in the works. If they have that already on their phone, then you whitelist that capability, and then it can automatically text back saying, "Hey, I'm on NoCell right now, can't drive."
Awesome. I like that. Hey, I
Great
do want
question.
one thing. Hey, Dylan, can you put up the mission statement? And Corey, I want you to speak to the company's mission statement as we put it up there right now. Can you see that?
Yep.
So
I mean, this is what we do, right? We do get up early every morning because right now in California it's 5:17 a.m. So we're getting up, we're preaching the gospel according to NoCell. Our company founder is passionate about making sure that's we're tired of getting these stories every single day. Driver, looks at his phone one time, 3 seconds, blows red light and T-bones a minivan, or driver, 20-year record of perfect service and gets distracted by his phone and misses an off ramp. And I mean, there's just horrific stories every day. So we are trying to put an end to distracted driving and put an end to these preventable crashes that occur every single day on the highways.
What positive results are you getting in by numbers? I would really like to know what kind of numbers are you getting back from the fleets that are using this in comparison what they were before you started using it?
So we're in the middle of a case study currently, and what we're finding out, just the primary numbers are that phone handling goes down by 79% after the first 2 weeks.
Wow.
And we can check that because we have an alert system that as soon as a driver picks up a cell phone, then the fleet manager gets an alert and it drops a pin on the map. So that's the initial numbers. We don't have the full set of year-over-year numbers yet, but that'll be released after the first of the year so that we can get some actual case study numbers. It's tough to measure crashes that don't happen because the driver's not on the phone. So it's tough to measure what would have, a crash that would have happened that didn't happen. But what we're seeing is that the companies that we're engaged with have far less crashes once they put this technology. And it goes along with all the other technologies, right? You've got your inward outward facing cameras, your telematics, you've got all the other safety features. This is the final piece of the puzzle, right? This is proactive. Right? The cameras can see you pick up the phone. This is proactive. This takes away the distraction of the phone. The driver doesn't have to touch the phone because there's nothing on the phone that they can use at that point in time other than whatever the fleet manager deems necessary for them to get their job done.
Yeah, hey, listen, if you're a driver out there, if you're listening to this show right now, you have a question, hey, go ahead and type that out to Dylan and the producer. He'll answer that question. He'll get that question asked so we can get an answer from Corey on that. Hey, Corey, that technology, I just want you to know, it really does. It's absolutely phenomenal. Are you working with one of these organizations as well that kind of ties you to them, these don't use distracted driving, those organizations? Are you part of anybody?
We're teaming up with the NSC, the National Security Council. In fact, we've got a meeting with them in October to be on their team to make sure the Just Drive and Arrive Alive, all the different campaigns that are going on right now. But the National Security Council, Safety Council, is number one that we're working with.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's one of the things that we want to do as well. We want to help bring somebody in for BCB Live to kind of help get behind this this case, right? Because Drive Safe, we talk about it on this show all the time. For that spacing, that the situational awareness. There's no time to be distracted out there on the highway with these trucks. So great job. We love that information. Producer, you got somebody?
Yeah, so we actually had a driver who was wondering, so say that you have, somebody that you are like a family member, right? They were asking if we have a family member in the hospital and there is an emergency, would that still go through if we get called, or is that something that just stays blocked by the app here?
No, it's a very flexible app. So if you don't block the phone, the drivers can still, like the FMCSA, right? They can still receive phone calls via Bluetooth or their headset, either steering wheel controls or the headset. So they don't. If you don't want your drivers to not be able to receive calls, then they can still receive calls. It's completely up to the fleet manager, whatever your policy is. We don't make any policies for the companies. We allow the companies to enforce the policies that they already have in place. So if their policy is, yeah, you can receive calls, then you can still receive that phone call. So they don't miss anything. Also, there's always an emergency button on the splash screen. If you're on an Android device and you need to make an emergency phone call, 911 or wherever you're at, there's always an emergency button available to the driver at all times.
Yeah, so some music ones. We all listen to Pandora. The mapping, you say, those are all available if we lift. What we're trying to take away is the ability to swipe right? I mean, we don't need you swiping right while you're driving down the highway.
Or running Netflix or watching YouTube, right? We're taking some of the things going on while you're behind the wheel running down the road that really takes those moments of focus and are really dangerous. Not that call that you can get in that hands-free device, but really that texting. You shouldn't be texting, right? You shouldn't actually ever be texting.
Never.
And to me, that's the argument, right? If you're out there right now, you're complaining about Big Brother. They don't need it. But if you're not using it, what difference does it make anyway? That's the way I look at it. If you're not playing the video games, you're not playing the poker games while you're driving, well, what difference does it make? All it's really doing is helping you make that commitment, that pledge that you signed that says, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to use my phone for anything else. Drive safety, that's what it's doing. It's what we were talking about. It's that help that says, you know what, I'm going to help you not break your promise, that pledge you made to not drive, distracted.
Hey, Corey,
that's exactly it.
I look at it like this in a great way. We don't put our seatbelts on because we want to be in an accident. We put them on as a preventive measure. So in case something bad happens, and I look at this as also as a preventive measure. This is to help keep us from getting into an accident. It's not there to hinder us or keep us from getting up or doing anything, but it is there to help us make better decisions, right? It's just a little bit better way to make great decisions while you're out there and not being distracted.
Yeah, I mean, on average, people check their phone 88 times an hour, right? I mean, that's at the bare minimum. So what we're doing is we're protecting the driver from themselves, basically, their habits that they've formed, or any driver, any commercial driver that has, the phone is addictive, right? You hear that buzz, ding, or beep, man. You want to see who sent what or who liked what or whatever. So you want to make sure that we're protecting the driver from themselves and from this addiction of the cell phone.
Hey, Corey, we have one more question, and then we have about 2 minutes in total. Hey, producer, who do we have?
So we actually had a typed out question here. So have you guys had issues with drivers finding a way around the whitelist system, and has that been a problem in the past?
I love that question. So it's bulletproof, right? So if a driver adds an app after the phone's already been put in the system, the app goes into the default off setting, and the fleet manager would have to whitelist that app. Wow. So there's no way to get around it as far as getting to an app. If the driver turns off Bluetooth to try and get away from it, or if they kill the app, the fleet admin gets an alert, and then the app is turned back on again by the phone, and the Bluetooth is turned on by the phone again. So it's pretty bulletproof, although we know that it's a cat and mouse game, so we have to continue to develop and make sure that the system up to date.
Yes, we can find, and we do know that,
jailbreak the phone. Jailbreak the phone.
Hey, but we love what you're doing. Hey, you got about a minute, Corey. Is there anything you want to leave us with before we have to end the conversation here?
Our truck drivers and the commercial vehicles are the lifeblood of the United States, of the world, basically. And we want to make sure that those guys, they're getting hunted by the lawyers. We want to make sure they're off those cell phones so they don't get those DOT violations. We want to make sure they get home safe every single night to their families, so we can get rid of all these stories of the horrific crashes that are completely preventable by removing the distraction of the cell phone from the cab.
Hey, Corey, we want to thank you so much for being part of BCB Live. We love your commitment to safety and Drive Safe Dave. We know that we are searching for folks like NoCell, right? Companies that are out there to help protect this industry, help protect our drivers, and help protect the highway systems and get our families back home where they need to be.
Yeah, we appreciate
Absolutely.
we appreciate the endeavor. We appreciate the business, and you know what? We hope that it grows, and we hope that that spreads across the country. Not only your technology, but all kind of technology that helps to keep everybody safe.
All right. Hey, Corey,
Absolutely.
we appreciate you. Thank you so much, and stay safe out there, all right?
Thanks, you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, and have a great, safe day.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
you.
much, man. Great stuff, Drive Safe Dave.